friends. It's been too long. I'm a slacker, I know. Been a busy spring. Bonsai show, social calendar filling up because of COVID subsiding, which is great news. And then I have a problem, and the first step's admitting it. I have too many trees. So I'm trying to reduce the collection, get rid of some of the seedlings, because even if we move and I get the bonsai garden of my dreams, I don't know if I can fit all the trees I got right now. So yeah, just busy, but I took a ton of footage this spring. Got work on the Dawn Redwood, big trunk reduction and repot, the Yamadori Larch today. I picked up a Yamadori white cedar at the bonsai show. Had Mauro Stemberger help me set the wire and at least establish a vision for the tree. So the wire's on that awesome Yamadori, and I'm going to style that in a couple of weeks and record that for you as well. I have a collecting video from an American elm that I grabbed this spring, a new property. So definitely going to show you that, and then a couple of surprises along the way. But in the end, 5 or 6 videos, I hope. And thanks for tagging along, by the way. 1,000 subscribers I hit over the winter, which is just silly. Probably 500 of you are not real, but there's got to be a couple hundred actually following along, so it's cool. Keep bringing the comments, keep bringing the ideas, because hopefully you're learning a bit from my failures and some successes, and I'm learning from you as well with those comments, so cheers to you. But anyway, I want to talk trees, obviously. As I mentioned, a lot of footage that I chopped up, but today, starting with the Yamadori Larch that I collected in fall of 2020, really kicked butt last year. So from my perspective this spring, I thought, let's give it a go with a hard styling. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. Episode 1, Great Lakes Bonsai, spring 2022. Take you back to the garage in April of this year. Let's roll. We are sitting here with the Yamadori Larch that I'm very excited to work on, really to any extent for the first time. So collected from a bog, fall 2020, protected the roots in a window well. This is all new growth from last season. Same with regard to this section here. So we're talking about a foot plus in a couple of different spots, but it's showing me that it's got some energy, and so I want to start to reduce it a little bit, apply some wire, and start to shape this tree a little bit. I want to show the kind of design that I came up with on my iPad. Very rough, of course, but taking a really thin, skinny line, if this is roughly the front, coming up here to your right, back to the left, and then this shoot right here is what I'm thinking as far as the apex goes. So, wire, shape, a little bit of tweaks to this larch. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Quick note, I do use a piece of chalk to mark every branch that I need to reduce or remove. That helps me avoid crippling anxiety when working on a tree this cool, and just makes me focus on just making the cuts, knowing I'm following a plan that I've thought about for many hours. I've marked out those spots, so let's go ahead and get going. This branch, really, really cool. Love it, absolutely. If I swing us around to the front here-ish, I need this to come down, you know, more dramatically. And so I do have 2 options. I've got one in here, and I've got one up here that can supplement. That'll also encourage a little bit better of a transition of taper to a smaller piece. So I'm gonna take it back, and this is always scary, but hey, I've thought about this, so let's go ahead and make our first major prune here with the Canisian concave cutters. Oh man. Alright, so significant reductions to the canopy, certainly removed some really long shoots up here and straight up the middle. Now I need to get wire on what I think is going to be the primary apex. The main apex here, I applied some 10 gauge wire and then 16 gauge out at the ends to try and induce some movement. If our front is somewhere in this area, I've got this branch sweeping down to the right, and we're developing kind of the core of that apex. So definitely need that to thicken up to make it believable taper, but I kind of like this direction. As I mentioned, I've also got my options here over on the left-hand side. I could turn this into gin long term, or I can grow that out and choose to have that as an option for an apex and get rid of this one. And in the back, also have these 2 shoots. This one I wired down and to the right, and this one I still have available as an apex in the future. Again, should I decide to change the design. Applied a guy wire to get this branch over here to move over to the right hand side. It was pointing out right towards you. And then I'm leaving one branch, this little guy in the front here, to grow out right towards the camera. And the reason I'm leaving that one is, A, I could wire it down and to the right, something interesting long term, but what I'm thinking for this branch is that I'm going to graft this branch onto the left-hand side here. I really need a defining branch to even out and balance out this tree coming down to the left-hand side. I don't have anything on this section right here right now. So the plan would be to graft something in place and give this tree some balance, right? I've got the dead wood on the right-hand side over here. Got a lot of branches and a lot of movement, and I'm going to keep probably this dead wood up in here in place. So I've got all that tension going to the right. I'd like a defining branch off to the left, unless I want a more dramatic look. So anyway, pretty geeked with how this turned out. Please provide your feedback on what you would have done differently. I think it's taken a leap forward, and we'll see how it does in response this year. Definitely going to treat it with a lot of love. Yeah, no problem for this larch. All that work, plenty of energy stored up. It's just pushing like crazy. It's basically a bush at this point, pushing out its second flush of growth for the season. Really pleased with how the copper wire is holding, although it is starting to bite in, so I need to get that off soon. And then come next spring, really need to choose between those three apexes on what direction to take going forward. Probably will debate a repot into a smaller container, because I'm seeing the response from this is so strong, especially with all that reduction, that I think it's probably strong enough to do a repot after it gathers up energy for this year as well. And yeah, just geeked about where it's headed. I did put a little bit of super glue in spots to try and keep the bark on the base of the trunk, and that ended up being a little bit white in nature. I don't know if you can see that, so that might be something I got to scrape away over time. Rookie mistake there. But overall, really happy with the progress of this tree. And yeah, if the front's somewhere in there, I think we're heading in the right direction. So appreciate you joining as always. Leave your comments, what you would have done differently. Hopefully you don't hate what I've done with this tree, because kind of what's done is done. I chose a direction and I'm going with it. And yeah, have a great rest of your spring, and I promise not another 6 months between now and another video. So keep your eyes out, because there's definitely more to come.